Okay, this is a question response. Doing something I do not normally do. My intent is limit myself to the 10-minute video here. My standard 10-minute video, my new standard. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to respond to a single, simple, straightforward question that was left on the YouTube channel. So just a few days ago, on the 31st of July 2019, I published a video. The video is called Part 1 of Rules Exploration from Dead of Winter by SDI. So that was the video. Obviously I'm talking about the first edition of Dead of Winter there in that video. And I guess at one point in that video I said that I wasn't really a fan, or wasn't really drawn to Chit-Pull games. And so somebody with a screen name Gagrin asked, what's your particular issue with Chit-Pull, if you don't mind me asking. Don't mind the question at all, first. Okay, again, I'll try to move quickly through all of this. Okay, well, first of all, not a big issue. I thought about it because I don't think I mentioned it. I don't think I used the word issue in the video. But anyways, that's irrelevant. After I thought about it again, I said, well, yeah, I guess I do have an issue with Chit-Pull. But I hope to not disappoint. I really don't consider it a big issue. It's not a big issue, not a major issue. I just know that I'm usually not a fan isn't the right word. I'm normally not drawn to that mechanic. Right now, here's another thing. Chit-Pull is just a mechanic. It is my belief that even though it's just a mechanic, I think that I guess fans of the mechanic really overblow its meaning, its emphasis, its impact. It's just a mechanic. Okay. So first of all, I think that some try awfully hard to justify it as a mechanic. Okay. Oh, and related to that is, I think, again, I am not an industry commentator. I just take a look at war games in the little bit of free time I have. That's it. Not an industry observer and commentator. But if I had to guess, I would say, yeah, I get the impression that this mechanic is really being used a lot. And I'm afraid, I'll put it that way, I'm afraid that it's being used too much. It's being used in places that it's really not appropriate for. Okay, so what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. But first, let's talk about what I'm thinking of when I think of Chit-Pull. So I've talked about this before. I'm not a lifelong gamer. I started gaming regularly in 2010, and a couple years after that I started regularly with Hex and Counter War games, so really not that many years. Oh yeah, and so there were two game systems that I experienced early on that had Chit-Pull. So in order, I do believe first was Eisenbach Gap, World at War series. Now, I'll be honest, I was blown away by this game when I first played it. And after a while, my interest completely dissipated. I think it's an awful game. And this is about realism. You want a game? I will not. I'm not gonna have any issue with anybody who says it's a great game. It might be a great game, but just the ham-fisted treatment of tactics, modern war weapon systems. I just couldn't take. And by the way, this came out in face-to-face playing. As long as I played as solitaire, I think that some of the things that concerned me were essentially hidden. Boy, when I played it face-to-face, that had Chit-Pull, and that was a modified Chit-Pull. The other game I'm thinking of, and I cannot remember the name, I wish I could remember the series, I should say, or maybe there isn't even a name to the series, but it's the Kastenga game from the Simple Just Plain War Games company. There was Kastenga, there was Sala, and there were some others. I think that's Benninghoff. Sorry, I don't want to mispronounce his last name. I think it's Benninghoff. But anyways, that had what I consider to be a simple, straightforward, essentially a pure Chit-Pull, meaning every unit on the map belongs to a formation. Every formation has one and only one corresponding activation chit. Each turn you randomize all chits, you draw them randomly obviously, and you only execute them in exactly the order they're drawn, and you execute every chit drawn. So that's what I call simple, pure, straightforward Chit-Pull. So because then I know that there are different variations on the idea, and I think, and by the way, with variations you can get some interesting, I guess, some interesting play out of it. Okay, I'm assuming. Okay. So what's my issue? Which again, I'm allowing for the fact that it is a game mechanic, and as such, it can have an appropriate setting. It can be used appropriately, given certain circumstances. But the reason why I'm not drawn to the mechanic is this. It has to do with back to chaos and chance, and unpredictability, and I guess yeah, I'll just leave it there. So, and this goes back to my experience. I am a career soldier. I'm a career soldier. Operational experience in 3 different theaters, and more importantly, okay, I'll skip that. More importantly, I have planned operations, just a ton. I mean, just a ton. I couldn't even add up the total number. Many operations I've planned for units as small as 20 soldiers all the way up to probably 400. This is not Chit-Pull, which is a mechanic, which is meant to correspond to something in reality. This is my issue. In many cases, I don't know what Chit-Pull is supposed to be referring to. Is supposed to be modeling, mimicking, whatever you want to call it. And if somebody says, well, why? What, isn't it mimicking unpredictability? Well, that's where I'm saying, sorry, it doesn't cut it with me. I'm telling you, in my experience, I never experienced that kind of unpredictability. Events happen. They don't happen that randomly, I guess, is the way. And it's I'll flip it around and I'll say, if how one experiences combat and war were as a Chit-Pull game portrays it, the human wouldn't even, you'd throw up your hands and you wouldn't do anything, because it's so meaningless. You certainly wouldn't plan. Why bother planning if reality really unfolded like that as it's experienced? Now, I'm not talking about if you had some type of God's eye view, but I think a game should get after experienced reality.